Okay. So now you're doing. We've been talking all day about social media and networking and engaging, but Marianne and I met face to face, I think, before we actually started following each other on Twitter.
Possibly.
Because of IFA. But I think she's one of the world's greatest networker and connector. So, oh yes, okay. We're going to get Marianne started, and when Marianne is done, Thomas is in the back, and he's got the FranCamp shirts for those who registered really early. We're going to have to get the shirts out. Get your shirt. Okay, so Marianne, have fun.
Thank you. Well, when Deb invited me to come and join you all here at FranCamp, the only thing I heard was social. And if social's involved, I'm in. Totally in, across the board, no questions asked. So then when she said, will you present something, I was like, ooh, that's tough. And actually, before I get started, I would like to say, does everybody know Allison Glassman? Allison, would you stand? There she is. She's looking for an outlet. Yeah, I just want to thank Allison, because she's with Franchise Opportunities Network, because at lunch, Allison made note of the fact at how tremendous the speakers here were and that I better step it up. So, no pressure. Thank you, Allison. Appreciate the support of that. In any case, I've recently relocated to the Atlanta area as Director of Operations for Floor Coverings International over in Norcross. I'm a native New Yorker, and most recently out of Asbury Park. And I know when people, how many of you ever struggled when you tried to pick the nomenclature or your identifier for Twitter, right? Should it be your name? Do you have remember back in the early days of email addresses, it's like, I heart volleyball, that kind of stuff. And then you had to get more professional because people were watching you and they were watching everything you do. Personal life, professional life can't, cross over. And mine is actually just my last name because I am a Murphy. There's no doubt about it. And the zip code for my beloved Asbury Park, New Jersey. So that's kind of where I'm at, if anybody cares about what that's about. I do. Okay. I kind of skipped over some of the social stuff here. I had to go into business networking just to kind of find out what the heck I was going to, I had volunteered to do here. Came up with business networking. Of course, everybody goes to Wikipedia, right? Gone are the days of the World Book Encyclopedia, which were my favorites. But business networking, a socio-economic activity by which groups of like-minded business people recognize, create, or act upon a business opportunity. That was pretty serious. So I decided to go right to my favorite source, one of my favorite sources, Guy Kawasaki's Enchantment, and he said, see connecting, and that was much more fun. So here we have some people having fun, and I was a little bit jealous of Jack Monson's picture of the Mad Men people, because that's a favorite of mine, and I wish I had taken that picture as well, and really looked about it from a perspective of engaging and connecting. Jack's picture of the Mad Men people really kind of, like, life is a party. There's a party going on, and you really have to get into it. You have to engage in it, but you got to do it in ways that I guess are socially acceptable. I guess you can't always have the lampshade on your head. So when I researched this even a little bit more, I looked into some people who I thought were pretty connected and pretty powerful. And I thought, what did we all have in common? What did these people have in common with me? Because I'm sure they were wondering that too. And you can see me, I'm up in the corner on a plane, right next to Warren Buffett, where I frequently find myself, just above Barbara Walters there. Well, I wanted to find a common denominator, not that I was either powerful or connected, but what that kind of looked like. And like these people, at one time I was the youngest child in a family, and that holds a certain status, but then I was no longer. And one of the things I found out in common with all of these people was the middle child. The middle child. How many people are middle children here? One? Just one? 2, 3. Wow. Okay, Eric, do you feel that you're kind of powerful in the whole networking thing? You got to negotiate up, negotiate down? Always looking to kind of be in the stir? Got to take the focus of the spotlight off the top kid and the bottom kid and direct it back to the middle somehow? Sums it up very well, exactly. So does that help in your networking capabilities? And it doesn't mean that you can't be a good networker if you're not a middle child, because as I looked further into it, I found out that there could be 2 middle children. I'm like, that's not possible. So I was a little disenchanted with that because 2 of the Jonas brothers, two of the Jonas brothers, and I don't know which 2 those are, and Donnie and Marie are both considered middle children because they're in the middle of their families. I didn't like that definition. And then, of course, I went just a little bit further to find out where the power of networking came from an early age, and yeah, that was a problem. So anyway, I had to totally abandon that, my middle child theory, and move a little bit further into the power of connecting and how one develops it from an early age. How many of you recognize this particular photograph? What is it? Flight maps? Actually, right now, this is my brain after everything I've heard here today. It's like, oh my gosh, I am so far behind so many things that I need to catch up on. But you're right, it's a flight map. And this is actually the first page. When I first started flying, I didn't fly until 1992 for whatever reason. I used to take trains. I thought it was cool. Then I had to go to England, and the QE2 was not sailing that day. So off I went. I got on a plane, and I haven't stopped traveling since. By plane, by train, by automobile, by whatever. But this was the first page I ever went to because I wanted to see where I could go. Where could I go on any given day? And the possibilities were always endless. I'm going to throw a quote out right now and see if you know who it's from. If 2 people are meant to be connected, the universe will find a way to connect them. Anybody know what that's from? Yeah, I'm not going to baffle you. It's from Touch last night, Martin Bohm. Anybody watching that on Fox? Okay. And that has anybody seen that show, Touch? It's a great show. And unfortunately, Martin Bohm, a.k.a. Jack Bauer, a.k.a. Kiefer Sutherland, always has such angst trying to connect the people to get the dots together because some catastrophe is going to happen. And I look at it as the exact opposite, because connecting with people brings good things. Less, I think, for yourself than the people that you personally connect. And that's kind of one of the things that I enjoy so much about putting things together, or putting people together. And one of the things that I found out is that you create your own world. You create your own world. It will be whatever you want it to be. Each of us has a sphere of influence, and there are people who you influence, and there are people who influence you. And you don't always know who those people are. It's kind of like the card reader who's like, does this mean anything? Does this mean anything? Does this mean anything? You're like, no, no, no. It's like, remember it. It's going to mean something, somewhere down the line. One of my key influencers, she doesn't even, in fact, I just had this brainstorm earlier to try and find her. She was on a plane in 2006, right after Katrina. We were on our way down to New Orleans. And I'll tell you a little bit later on how she influenced me, but she has no idea that she did. And so I want to find her again and just like write a little note and thank her. But so you have no idea who you influence and who influences you until those things come into your path. Each of us has ambassadors, and this was something I learned from our mutual friend, Flo Shell, Coach Flo, who's a wonderful person to follow. Who are your ambassadors? And this is a little exercise I'd like everybody to do. Each of us has ambassadors, and those are people who have our back. And I was interesting, where's Clarissa? Is she still here? Okay, but Clarissa, there were people who had Clarissa's back and knew something was out of character with her postings and her internet presence, and they were like, hey, what's up? Each of us have people like that, and it's because of our behavior, because of the consistency of our behavior, that people do have our back. So what I'd like each person to do is take your little Marriott pad there and just list down 5 people who you know, professionally or personally, who have your back, who are always looking out for you. And it's not a test, so just keep going. And then as you're branching off of that, and this is where the dots come in, there are people whose back you have, and you probably could name minimum 5 of those. Close, it doesn't even have to be close personal friends. People you know, like, trust, respect, to really promote them in today's world. Like, you really hold them in high regard. One of the things, sorry, I lost a thought there. But anyway, your ambassadors have your back, you have their back. And actually, Todd talked about earlier, they influence you as well. But you don't always know it because you're not ready to necessarily hear it. How many of us attended the IFA earlier this year and stayed for Guy Kawasaki? I know Deb hijacked Guy Kawasaki and his car and wouldn't let him in it. And he talks a little bit about that when he talks about the different influences in our life. One of the things that's key in connecting is to truly enjoy the process. Enjoy the process. People, this is as old as, the first person to probably write it down specifically, and there's probably somebody before him, but probably the most notable was Dale Carnegie. People will do business with people they know, like, and trust. And Guy kind of updated that. He definitely updated that when he talks about being sincerely interested in other people's stories and to tell your story and be enchanting about it. And to get back to the woman on the plane, I was on the plane going to New Orleans, and this woman turned to me and said, "I'm having a great life." And I looked at her and I said, "Really?" And I'm thinking, okay, great, nut job in the middle seat. But she went on to tell me about her story and how she had just made a huge life-altering change and a huge shift. She had been working for the same company for so many years, and she was, ran the company. She was indispensable there. She was so ingrained. It was a family company. They loved her. They adored her. She ran everything. She had everything going. But things started to turn, and she needed to make changes for herself, but she was afraid to do it. So she turns to me and she goes, "I'm having a great life." I'm like, "Well, really, what happened?" And she turned and she said to me, she had just finished Keith Ferrazzi's book, Never Eat Alone. How many of you have read that book? I have that as a footnote at the end. And what I find ironic here today is that so many of us are speaking about the different things, social media, social presence, socializing, connecting, etc. And the common thread that each of us have come up with across the board, bar none, is that it's not about you, the individual. It's about what you can do and how you can tap into the feelings, the hearts, the minds, etc. of others. Others that you're looking to serve, others that you're looking to be of service to, others that you're looking to promote, on an everyday basis. So we all have come up with that. And Keith Ferrazzi's book, she had just read it, and Guy Kawasaki's is the same theme. And she said, "I'm having a great life," and she talked about how she connected with finally accepted an opportunity for somebody who had been pursuing her in the real estate industry to jump ship and change jobs. She didn't think she had the power. She tapped into her network of connections and found out that everybody in her, all of her ambassadors, all of the people who were surrounding her said, "It's about time. You need to make some changes. You deserve it. So jump out there and get going." So she tapped into her connections, and it opened up a whole new world for her. And that's actually who I was trying to connect with there. We all have relationships, life, family, friends, franchisees, vendors, and we shouldn't treat any of them any differently on any given day. So when you truly enjoy the process and talk to people and find out what their stories are, there's my plane turning. I was very excited when I got that in there. There's an opportunity to build connections across the board. And where's my Kigo friends? Did they leave too? Oh, for goodness sakes. My Kigo friends, we were talking about the 6 degrees of separation. How many of you follow the Kevin Bacon stories, right? If you ask enough questions, certainly anybody is within your path. And I was afraid to put the Kevin Bacon reference in there for fear that this group would be too young and wouldn't know who he was. And they pointed out that he's in Footloose, the new Footloose, but I'm like, isn't he the grandfather or something like that? So now I'm dating myself. But the 6 degrees really is very, very basic. It's like, who do you need? You're never more than 6 degrees to others. Who do you need to connect with? And then others are never more than 6 degrees from you. Who needs to connect with you, and why? And actually, this is in talking to Deb Schwetz, another friend of ours, right, tells me that I'm moving to Atlanta, and there's a brand new franchise there. So who do I go over to meet? I meet the wonderful Tisha Rosamond in her store, and I get to find out that, well, not only is she a fabulous franchisee for Nothing But Cakes, but has an amazing previous career in the hospitality and the hotel industry. So I'm, of course, and that's huge. And I'm like, well, do you know so-and-so? It's like, yeah, there were only 30,000 people in the company. I'm like, okay, could probably find them if we knew enough people together. So getting to others, either, just welcoming them, just going to meet them just because it's fun. And I was really excited to see Tisha here today because the world keeps coming back the way it is. As with Kigo, I met them 6 years ago when I worked with Housemaster, and here they were today. And I was very excited to see Rick Batchelor here as well. The other thing is who needs to connect with you. And you don't know who that is yet, but I encourage and implore each and every one of you that when somebody says to you, oh, you know what, I asked so-and-so to give you a call, take the call. Take the call and find out who, what is it? It may not be something that's there and then, but if somebody refers somebody to you, take the call. And it might be a sales call. Take the call. It might not be something you're ready for. It might be just somebody with an issue, a question, a concern, something that you can help with. You don't know how you can help, but you might know somebody who can. So take the call. Who needs to connect with you? If they're sending them to you, somebody feels that you've got what they need, and connect them where they go. Nobody goes it alone. And that's really important because, the minute that we think we're an island, I just recently was at the K-Biz trade show kitchen and bath trade show out in Chicago. And I was talking to, and we're flooring, okay? If you can walk on it, we can put it down. So I was talking to an interior designer, and she came up to the booth. We were there, and I said, we work with many interior designers and decorators in helping their clients select their flooring. And she goes, yeah, I have no need for you. I said, really? You don't put flooring down? She just dismissed everything, wasn't even open to the opportunity to file it, put it in your 411 files, put it in your business card file, put it someplace because you might need it. But nobody goes it alone, and the ability to connect yourself with those who can connect you with others, or to accept somebody into your life that you can connect with somebody else, is really, really key. And then this other one at the bottom, who knows what an EQ is? You want to share? The emotional IQ. But what is that? Your ability to read other people and pay attention to what they need. Who else? Anybody else have another take on that? And that's great. That's like the perfect layman's terms. The definition as they throw it out is the how you navigate social complexities. Okay, and that just goes even deeper when we talk about all the technology that you throw in. Is it Ashley, who you talked earlier about? The social. Do people react fast enough? Should they be reacting in writing? It's one thing to react and read body language. It's another to put it in writing and put it succinctly and be able to, put out just the right message so it's not misconstrued. How many of you have ever hit the send button and gone, ooh. Gosh, I hope they don't read that wrong, because there's no body language there. There is no body language there. So the advantage of an EQ in real life, your emotional intelligence in real life, is kind of easy, because you can either laugh something off, you can recover when you get somebody's reaction. You don't have that opportunity in that technical world. So how do you build? How do you enjoy the process? New friends, I mentioned Allison, who's a new friend, because we know a mutual friend up in New Hampshire, so that was exciting when I got here. But I think one of the things that allows us to connect is the ability to build it before you need it. Build it before you need it. What does that mean? Anybody? Okay, how many times do you see, sometimes maybe you see somebody who's out networking like a maniac because maybe they're looking to change jobs, you don't know what they're doing, but they're frenetic. And the beauty of networking, to build your networks before you need it. We have LinkedIn, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have TweetUps, we have FranCamp. It's a great opportunity to meet people and understand what they do and appreciate what they do. But build it before you need it. And I don't want to say become a collector of people, because that sounds a little like, you got to dust them off every once in a while or something like that. But become a collector of information, if you will, information that you can pass on to others. Just because you don't do something or know something doesn't mean you don't know somebody who does. And that's the type of information you share, and that's how you become somebody else's ambassador, how you become something that somebody else needs. So where do you build? You build it at conferences, conventions, FranCamp. The IFA probably for me was a life-changing game in my career many, many years ago. It opened my eyes up and my opportunities up just to know people and know some really amazing people. Networking events, and I tend to look at networking events as where I can find people that need people I know. I never presume they need me. But I'm always looking for somebody that needs somebody that I know, so I can put two people together. Community events. How many of you have found some of your best connections at community events? just because you're there helping out. And really when you're there just giving, it's a great opportunity to get to know somebody even better than you would have known them at any other business event. And charitable causes, just because you can and just because you should. Give back, and then you meet people, again, that you can connect with others. FBN meetings, how many of you attend a regular FBN meeting? These are great opportunities, and you can find them. If you can't speak to Matt on how you're going to find them, or Dan, how you're going to find them on the site, because you can connect there and get in those threads. They're exciting. The Women's Franchise Network is another great one. We had a great meeting in March here in Atlanta. Some people are still stuck in traffic and couldn't make it here, but it was great. So look for these opportunities, and these are where things are common to us, but there are others that we can bring into our community as well. A friend of mine that I used to work with in advertising up in New Jersey is looking to branch into, or looking to come into the franchising community. And I said, the first thing you gotta do, you gotta join the IFA. Just join, go to the FBN meetings, just start to meet and network people and understand what it is that they need so that you can address that and bring your opportunity to them. It's funny, in the Never Eat Alone book, there's a very famous story about Bill Clinton when he was at Oxford. And he said he met somebody and took all his information like on an index card. And the guy's like, well, why do you want all that information? He goes, because I'm going to run for office one day, and I am going to need people, and I like you, and I'm going to need you. And it became, an ongoing thing, and that's how he collected the people that he collected and became, regardless of your politics, became a tremendous influencer and President of the United States. Still very influential. Start the conversation. We all have something in common, and if you ask enough questions, you can find out. I was in Chicago and met a fellow Rutgers alumni from Englewood Cliffs who had a summer house in Asbury Park. I'm in Chicago. We're just sitting having a hamburger. So if you ask enough questions, where are you from? What do you do? Just different opportunities for connection. One of, and always think outside the box. It's not always just people. I have our Dress for Success people that we met at the WFN meeting. One of the opportunities I suggested to her was to get in touch with one of our sister companies, California Closets. If you're redoing a closet, you're just cleaning out all that stuff. Just Dress for Success is a perfect opportunity for some of that. How many of you here have your certified franchise executive designation? Terrific. That's another great way when people, come to you and say, hey, what's the value in that? Meeting others, enhancing your knowledge of the franchising industry. Tuning into the IFA website, making connections there. Again, you're connecting with people, and thank you to Eric Bell for sending me a LinkedIn request before we got here. Looking forward to meeting you, so you can pre-connect with people before you know you're going to meet them. On a plane, any of you fly for a living, pretty much? Yeah, right? How many people do you meet on a plane, Jack? So I'm the annoying person sitting next to you, right, Jack? Excellent. That's what I like. Well,
I'm sorry, what did you say?
there you go. What did you say? I put the headphones in and just block it all out. Well, I wait till like 5 minutes before we land to become annoying. Okay? When the flight attendant comes and smacks the seat up on the guy who was faking it next to me. Tray tables up, so I always give it are you headed home or you're here on business? And on one of my most recent flights back to New Jersey, I met a gentleman who was in some mega secret web security something or other. But it turns out his son played football with one of my previous coworkers. So we were just talking, so I then texted my previous coworker and said, Ed said hey, and it's like, oh, and so that started, I had a chance to connect with somebody I knew again and hadn't talked to in a while because we met somebody mutually that we knew together. Franchising world, there's tremendous opportunities. And giving where we live. Keller Williams has a great program. They have Red Day. That's coming up May 10th, which is a great opportunity. If you have a Keller Williams in your community, you want to do something good, connect with them. They just have a day of community service. So there's a lot of great things that go on out there. But just start the conversation. When people talk, not to get heavy, but world peace, we all have something more in common, because that was my Miss America speech, so I won't use it here. But we have more in common than we have different. And the more that you speak to people, you find out what you have in common with them, and that creates a bond. And not just that, but you find out what they have in common with others that you know, and you can connect in that way as well. And it's a great, it's very rewarding. Technology makes it so easy. As I mentioned, Eric reached out and connected before we got here. And I think I'm coining this phrase. Has anybody heard the term FranCtions? I think I'm going to coin that here at Fran Social Camp. And I don't know if it has two N's or one. But FranCtions, I'm going to use two N's. What is it? You know what? And actually, this is a question for the group. Somebody you have no idea who they are. They have nothing in common with you, and they send you a LinkedIn invitation, and they say, so-and-so has said that you're a friend. Okay? You have no idea who they are. Do you accept or do you decline? Who's got a thought on that? Decline? Why do you decline, Todd? Don't know who they are. So do you not go and look who they know that you know? Don't care. Okay, who else has a thought on that? Deb? Right. Okay. Right. And I think it depends. And some people have that carte blanche connect. I tend to vacillate. It depends on which other people they know that I know. And I might reach out and say, hey, do you know so-and-so? But I would always feel more comfortable if somebody said to me, hey, you know what? I see that we have something in common. I'd like to connect to you. Would you mind connecting? Other than, because usually when it's somebody that's, they're your friend, it's followed up by some kind of sales pitch to buy land in Schenectady. So I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. Because they, real estate connections. I'm like, whatever. So you kind of have to, I go back and forth on that. I'm very protective of that for the very reasons that Clarissa brought out this morning about you don't know who's connected, who's not, or who's, Jenny 574 from Serbia, trying to infiltrate your network or whatever. I don't really know. But the good thing about, connections and the people that you know, and this was actually my stats last week, 723 connections connect me with 7 million people. Well, with 7 billion in the world and my need to meet them all, I have a lot of work to do. So, get the little Google, LinkedIn things there, connectivity. My favorite, though, the phone. The phone. I still like to pick up and just give a shout out to somebody saying, hey, I'm going to be in Chicago. Are you going to be there? Seek out others. And one of the key principles in Keith Ferrazzi's book, Never Eat Alone, which, if you travel a lot for a living, and even if you don't, friends coming into town, and here in Atlanta, that happens all the time, connect people who otherwise would not have met. If I'm in Chicago, I'm meeting with my cousin who's a lawyer. I'm going to bring some of my franchise friends with me. Just because they're all in the same area, they might know common people. Why not? Why just have a dinner when you have so little time? Put as many, I'm not saying put 12 together, that could be a little bit, then you're not really having quality time with your people. But, invite 2 or 3 people to dinner who, they have you in common, so they must have good taste, right? So invite 2 or 3 people together. It makes the conversations interesting. It makes things fun. You get to see who you need to see because time is very, very valuable for everybody here. Allison, had to make CP3O costumes last night, so she couldn't be at the tweet up. So we're looking forward to seeing that on Pinterest. Because it wasn't there before, so she had no research base to dress her small child as CP3O for the 4th be with you. Great. May the 4th. Oh, now I get it. May the 4th. I was wondering why they didn't do it in February. Woo! Okay. So in any case, wow, that just connected for me. I love when that happens, especially in front of an audience where I can just embarrass myself. All right. But never eat alone. Bring people together that otherwise would not have met. Because it's a great opportunity for you. It's a great opportunity for them. And plan ahead. That's where the technology comes in. It's who will meet me in St. Louis. I put that on Facebook, and I'm like, I'm not really going there, so whoever's there. I just felt like posting that. I was going to Chicago, but it didn't rhyme. Okay, and it happens all the time. We don't even know it happens. And I think sometimes the more that we focus on it and conscientiously do it, put people together, we find out that it's really a great thing and it benefits those people that we've put together. And I think that, for me, personally, that's the fun thing. And these are people that, see, there's me and Jared. I met Jared. How fun is that? But one of the ones in the middle, it's interesting. I was out in field ops. I was out in the field in South Carolina with a brand new franchisee. And so we're out in the field and we go to this real estate office. Because how many of you love doing cold calls? Right? Everybody hates it. I think it's great. It's like, who can I meet that I know? Turns out we walk into a real estate office in South Carolina, and we were, this is funny, we were staging it in the parking lot before we went in, which of course created interest on the people inside the building looking out. They're like, who are these people and what are they doing out there? Because we're role-playing before we go in, because that's my job, to help people role-play. So we go in, and everybody comes out, because normally if you're ever doing cold calling in the real estate industry, it's like no eye contact with anybody who walks in unless they've got cash and they're a buyer or a listing. So we walk in, they obviously knew that we were soliciting something. So we walk in and everybody comes out and I'm like, well, welcome, I'm glad you could all make it today. And we started talking, and sure enough, one of the real estate agents in the office there was from a territory that I used to market 15 years ago in Manalapan, New Jersey. She had relocated down there. We were talking, because she couldn't tell that I was from New Jersey. She goes, you're not from around here, are you? I said, no. And so turns out that this brand new franchisee who was in business 2 weeks, not 2 weeks, he was actually in business, he had gone through training for 6 months, he was actually opened his doors ready to go. And that ended up being his first inspection, because this was an agent. She didn't know him. She didn't know anything about him. She knew the training, knew all about it. But that because this connection, just ask enough questions, and she was from a Prudential office in Manalapan that was on my marketing route 15 years ago. So it was a cool thing. 2 other people in here are people that did not even know each other. One was an engineer for Con Air. Another is the husband of my college roommate. The college roommate's husband calls me and goes, okay, Murph, I've got a problem. I'm like, okay, and he's in manufacturing. Ooh, not my wheelhouse. But he tells me his problem. Like, you know what, I got a guy. It's a guy that's a friend of mine. I said, I'll put you two together. It's not him. He knows somebody. So I put them together. They've been together 4 years, and their business has tripled. So, just because you know somebody, you get to put people together, it's very exciting. And people passing through. Another, I don't know, Susan, you see Susan Blackbeth up there from Superwash Car Wash. She was giving a speech to the Subway franchisees, which is how I met Jared. That's why I was very excited about that. Another, the young lady in the upper left-hand corner, is the daughter of a former franchisee. And when they were buying their franchise, I'm in franchise development at the time, and they say, we have some questions on your marketing programs. I'm like, okay. Can we have our daughter call you? She's in college. I'm like, great. Just great. You're basing all your decisions on your college daughter to buy a franchise. So she calls, and I said, absolutely, I welcome the questions, because what's going on in the mind, that's future employees somewhere, what's going on in their mind, how can I help? So we spent a couple of hours on the phone. They bought a franchise. Fast forward 6 years. I've never met this woman, ever. Fast forward 6 years, because she lived, apart from where her parents' franchise was. Fast forward 6 years, she calls me out of the blue. I don't know if you can help me, she says. But I just, the last time we spoke 6 years ago, it was just such a great conversation, I thought I'd give you a call. She's since graduated from college. She's working in Massachusetts for an insurance company, hates it. She's in operations. She wants to be in marketing. So we talk, and we built this informal mentoring relationship where I said, you know what, I don't know, throw it out there, see if they'll give you a job share. Turns out she's like completely, just because she had somebody to reach out to and having, a big age gap, I said, well, talk to this person, talk to this person, talk to this person in your organization. Don't be afraid, just go. Just go there. Because they're looking for people like you to promote and do things. They want people that are going to be inquisitive. So she did, and she just changed everything, and job shared her way over into the marketing department. So, and I still not met her, and now she's moving to Austin, and one of these days I will meet her. But just people that you're able to connect and put together or help in situations like that, it happens all the time, connecting. And when you focus on it, you actually do it better. It's like you get better at doing it. It almost becomes a challenge. It becomes a game. It becomes fun. It's like, who can I put together? Because it's fun. It's like a little matchmaker. But why connect? Why do it? I look at it as kind of a sport. But one of the things that's good to connect is to be a mentee. Pick out somebody to mentor you, something you don't know. When we look at mentor-mentee relationships, we kind of think of it as big and ominous. You know, I've got to have somebody that's I'm speaking to every week, and it can get, whether it's a commitment, but it's not. Mentoring and being a mentee can be just for a simple thing. One thing that you want to learn, Pinterest. Deb's not going to get rid of me until I learn Pinterest. So it'll be my mentoring project. I'll be a mentee on Pinterest. So be a mentee so you can learn and be open to learning. None of us knows everything. And when you connect with the right people, there's so much to learn. And it's so interesting and it's so fun. And be a mentor so you can then turn around and teach. How many of you have any kind of mentoring relationship with somebody anywhere? Anybody? I strongly encourage it because it's probably one of the most rewarding things you can do, especially because of the little I know about the many people in this room. There's a boatload of experience, a boatload. And Jen McDonald, where are you? Oh, there you are, yay. You said it best when you said it's free. Talk to all of these people in this room, and actually I don't know, the lady behind you who you said it to, what is your name? Kim? Kim. She said to Kim, talk to every person in this room, they're here for you, and it's free. Do it. And I thought that was like probably some of the best advice of the day. And I enjoy sharing advice as well. Some of us consider ourselves consultants in a lot of different ways, but the more you give, the more you get back. Which leads me to my last one, to be a mentor so you can teach, is be a mensch. Who knows what a mensch is? Go ahead. A gentleman? Good. What else? A good person is correct. Who else? It's a lot of different... A what? A younger franchise? A mensch? Okay, anybody else? Anybody want to channel their inner Yiddish? Okay, the official from the, and you can see here, there's actually a book on the mensch as a leader, which is part of what our culture is turning to. And BJ said it as well, and that is getting into the hearts and minds of our customers, of our employees, our franchisees, the people we work with, and be a mensch. We should give as we would receive, cheerfully, quickly, and without hesitation, for there is no grace in a benefit that sticks to the fingers. If you're expecting something back, that's just give and let it go. And in the Yiddish dictionary, which I quote often, it's a person of honor and integrity. And if those are the types of people that you want to be with, honor and integrity. It kind of goes back to the ambassador thing. Another reason why connect, and I have a very special sign there, which is a restaurant in New York, Bond 45. And I know Deb has a group of women that she travels with every year, correct? Yeah. Do you do that? You do the little the retreat with Flo, Mary Rogers? Okay. The people that you meet along the way are, they become a part of the fabric of your life. Every job, without fail, that I have ever had in my life came about because somebody said to me, oh, you need to speak to so-and-so. I mean, from 16 on, except for one. That was when I worked at Great Adventure, and I was really angry about that, but I got over it. But every other job, and ironically, all of them have been in franchising. I've worked for Stewart's, I've worked for Carvel, Housemaster, now Floor Coverings International. I've had some longevity. But it's because other people told somebody about me and said, you need to talk to her, or you guys have to connect. So that's why connect. That's kind of the power of it. So every job, bar none, has always been there. And Deb and I are together. We've met because we didn't even know we had that in common, which is our common mensch, Flo Shell, Coach Flo. So, mentor, be a mentee so you can learn, be open to learning, be a mentor so that you can teach, and just overall, in general, throughout your life, be a mensch. It's how you create and solidify all of the relationships in your life. Bar none. Friends, family, relatives you don't like, all of them. Franchisees, your franchisor, the workplace, your superiors, those who work for you, those who work with you, bar none. If you follow, each of these three things has a place in your day on any given day. And last but not least is, and I'll take questions for anybody who has anything, enjoy the journey. Okay, and I look at this, I'm working on, I don't even know what I'm working on, but the ultimate connection story. And for me, this has always held a thrill for me, this particular movie. But these four people in here were the ultimate connectors. Each had a mission. Each needed something. Each had a goal. But somewhere along the way, each put aside their own goal to help somebody else with theirs. Together, they feared not what was in front of them, because, they found out it really was nothing to fear. They just had to state their case. But each of them together put aside their goal to help somebody else, and together they all got to where they needed to be. So I say to everybody here, who can you help along the way? Who can you connect with? Who can you be a mentor to without expecting anything in return? Because the connections will come back to you twofold. And actually, in closing, I just want to throw up some of the books here that I kind of are my little world. How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. If you've not read it in a long time, revisit. Never Eat Alone, Keith Ferrazzi. Enchantment, Guy Kawasaki. And then Leader as a Mensch. Become the kind of person others want to follow. And there's one other book that didn't make it on here, which is Emotional Intelligence 2.0. It is kind of what I feel the fabric of leadership is changing to. What can we do for others? Thank you. Anybody have any questions, thoughts? Thank you.